gentlemen, and welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Tiemann. This is the award-winning Fan Show. Thank you. It is great to be back for another beautiful Wednesday still. It is a fall Wednesday, first official Wednesday of fall. We had the first day of fall Saturday, EWU. The Eagles, they got a win over Cal Poly, and their first win in the Big Sky, but their third win on the season. They moved to 3-1. Congratulations, boys. It was great to hear post-game comments from Antoine Custer and, of course, Coach Aaron Best. Aaron Best, I really like him. Can I just take a moment here to let you know my appreciation for him? He's no BS, but he's not like a dick about it, okay? Belichick is no BS, but he's a dick. I think we can pretty much cut the BS and just come out and say it. I mean, you listen to his press conferences, I get it, okay? I've been in those rooms as someone who would love nothing more than to be in every press room I get the opportunity to be in, especially regarding football, and to have to listen to some of these accredited journalists, guys that get credentials just by being who they are, go in there and ask the stuff that they do. I cringe, and it makes me a little sick to my stomach, because it's like, that is the dumbest question that you could ask. Like today, okay, perfect example. I get notifications on Periscope, Twitter, and Facebook that let me know what the 49ers are doing, right? We're going live from training camp, or here's post-game comments from Jimmy Garoppolo. Or so today it was Kyle Shanahan comments on practice week with C.J. Beathard in wake of Jimmy G getting sidelined for the season with an ACL tear. And, of course, the upcoming game against the LA Chargers. So I get on there, and I'm like, somebody's going to do it. Somebody is going to ask the dumb question, because it seems like whenever it's 49ers and quarterbacks, everybody wants to know what's going on with Colin Kaepernick. He's working for Nike. In case you missed it, Colin Kaepernick is the spokesperson for Nike, and I'm sure he's making bank doing that. He's probably doing what he would rather be doing than getting sacked on the football field. Like, people just don't seem to understand that. I get that for a lot of people, he is the guy, right? That football is the ultimate goal for a guy like him. But there is life beyond football. There is life outside of football, and he's living it right now. So everybody that gets on there, that blows up the comments, bring back Cap, it's like, the dude hasn't played in a couple of years now. Years. Not months, not weeks, not days. Years. Probably going to be a little rusty, and he's been very active in what it is that he wants to be doing. So give it a rest. Anyway, though, I was worried that some dumb reporter in there, because they're in there and I'm not, was going to ask him the question. And that really peeves me. Like, I have a new media pet peeve after this weekend. We go into the post-game interview room where the players and coach will be from Eastern to answer after the game. And there's one dude in there. Like, and I don't even know who he is, because around here you pretty much know who everybody is, except nobody still knows who I am, which is crazy, but that's okay. But you're around a smaller market like Spokane in this area enough, you start to recognize people, sports anchors, journalists, equipment crew, video guys. This guy, I don't know who he is. I don't. And he will, what I call, hijack the press conference. There's, at the end of it, a dozen questions were asked, and he was responsible for like 11 of them. It's like, dude, give somebody else like a chance. And he can't even take the time to think out his question and then speak it. He has to stumble and stutter over his words and formulate sentences and then ask them. And it's like, you're taking time away from literally everyone else here that probably has other questions to ask. And it just bugs me. So I like Coach Best because he's a no BS guy, but he's not a complete dick about it. So understanding the world of media, journalism, and of course the post-game press conference, he could be a lot different and damn near justifiably so, but he's not. So I'm very thankful for that. So good on Coach Best. They will play in Montana, Bozeman this weekend, looking for win number 4. Hopefully they can get back-to-back and keep that one loss to WSU as their one and only loss this season. Now, speaking of media, speaking of reaction, of questions, of course, there's always controversy no matter where you go, especially in the world of sports. It is Wednesday. We have Battlebots to talk about, and I have a man who has been at the center of so much controversy. We'd like to think that it's finally behind him because the tournament has officially started, and that will take us into today's headlines. Headlines, of course, brought to you by Dynamite Enterprises. Get your world customized. Let them customize your world. Ethan at Dynamite Enterprises, he can hook you up if you say, hey, heard about you on the F.A.N show. They speak very highly of you because we do. And I want to get some shirts, some hats, some beanies. It's getting a little colder out. It is fall. Maybe some hoodies, a sweater. Who knows? Maybe, I don't know. Underwear. I believe that we've covered the underwear thing. Yes, he can do it. He can customize your underwear. Boxer briefs, whatever. And he does koozies, too. I love koozies. But he also does the little cloth that you get with glasses that you can wipe. So that'll be a whole lot of fun. For whatever reason, you need your logo on the cloth that cleans your glasses. The man can do it. So hit up Ethan at dynamiteenterprises.com, or just visit dynamiteenterprises.com and take a look. They have one of the best websites I've seen, too, and that's a lie. I check it out frequently. I'm just like, what new stuff? Because sometimes he'll let me know, hey, we're doing this new thing. Awesome. Put me down for 1, 10, 20. I don't care. But we did have hats, sold out of hats. So if you were lucky enough to get one of the first batch of hats, congratulations. If not, there will be more. Don't you worry. But seriously, Ethan, Dynamite Enterprises, apparel, custom merch, world, all that good jazz. Okay, just do it. Like I sound like a broken drum here. But headline number 1, we didn't get a chance to talk about it yesterday because we were recapping the weekend of football and other sports. But tonight is Battlebots night. We will have, of course, a new item added to the list of F.A.N show, as well as the Week 3 ButtFumble Award. But all the rest is about robot fighting time, and the tournament has officially started. Now, I mentioned Mr. Mike Jeffries of Bombshell. He is my guest tonight. He has a special announcement to make, but he has been the center of a lot of controversy because his bot did not win a single fight in the regular season, save for the last chance Rumble. Him and 5 other bots, a lot of people thought Duck should have been the winner. Well, then he gets in, and then he pulls off the mother of all upsets. That's right, the number 16 seed against the number 1 seed, which that's an upset if it happens in sports that I've only ever seen happen one other time, and it was during the NCAA tournament last year. And yeah, trust me, we're going to hear about it again this year. But it's not just that it was the 16 against the number 1, it was who it was against who it was. Bombshell, number 16. That was punching your ticket for winning the last chance Rumble. Unlike the Desperado tournament, Lockjaw ended up being number 9. But they got put up, it's like, hey, you won, you're in. Now you get to face Tombstone, the reigning, defending, undisputed 2016 world champion of Battlebots and the winner of a giant nut, Ray Billings, a man who went undefeated, never saw the loss column at all. So you have 2 very opposite bots and teams, and wouldn't you know it, Mike Jeffries gets the upset. Spoiler alert, sorry if you don't already know that. If you don't, I don't know why you're listening, and if you are listening and you don't know that, then you're probably not listening for the BattleBot stuff. But anyway, yeah, the chain that spins Ray's blade came off, and he ended up getting high-centered on it. That was ridiculous. I was there for this fight, and the energy I mean, it just got sucked out of the crowd. And then when they realized what was happening, it was like you could hear a pin drop and then cheering and screaming and just pandemonium. I mean, it was a whirlwind of emotion within a span of 2 minutes. And I kid you not when I say that was one of the better moments of that entire time that I was down there. One of the better moments of the season. Well, then Mr. Jeffries would go on to face the winner of the next matchup, Son of Waiachi and Lockjaw, which they did not air, and I'm a little sad about that because this is the tournament. Like, we deserve to see all the fights. I think if you needed to throw in one more episode, then you could. But I'm not Discovery, I'm not the producers, but it's my feedback for next time. Like, when the tournament starts, we should see all the fights. So Son of Waiachi and Lockjaw, winner of the Desperado tournament, as we mentioned, Lockjaw would win. It would go to decision. He would win. So now Bombshell and Lockjaw, and Bombshell would be defeated handily. Lockjaw, Don Hudson is just the man when it comes to this. Like, you put him and Ray Billings in a room together for long enough, they can probably come out with the perfect bot. But Mike Jeffries gave it his all. Don Hudson, though, the seasoned vet that he is, 6 giant nuts, not just for winning, but for other things as well. He comes out with the win. He will advance. Who would he face? Well, we had Sawblaze and Monsoon. Monsoon got the win over Sawblaze. That was a hell of a fight. That was probably one of my favorite matches from this first round of the tournament. So Monsoon advances. We had Minotaur versus Witch Doctor. Again, I was there for all of these fights, so I knew what the outcome was, but it still was just as exciting. Minotaur, of course, gets the win over Witch Doctor. Not handily, but I mean, it was a good fight. So then you have the up-and-comer Monsoon, UK Sensation, taking on the Brazil's greatest hope, right? The man from Brazil, the Man Beast. Minotaur would get the win over Monsoon. That was a great fight, though. That really was. So you have Lockjaw versus Minotaur, and we will see that fight next week. This Friday, though, we have the other side of the tournament starting off, and that will be Bronco versus Warhawk, Yeti versus Whiplash, Ice Wave versus Rotator, and Bite Force against Huge. So that is what happened, and Mike Jeffries is going to be on here in a few minutes, and he's going to tell us all about it. His feelings on the controversy. Should it have been him or Duck? Why he thinks the way that he does. Getting the upset over Ray. It was a fight that was 2 years in the making, a rematch that we all wanted that we did not get in the regular season. How he felt about advancing and that being short-lived. So yeah, we'll talk all about it. We'll talk about it live in a little bit. But first, of course, we do have a few things to get to address, and we're going to make quick work of them because they don't need the pomp and circumstance that they usually get here. But first of all, the list of fan show. Now, typically, this is a person, a place, or thing, and today it very much is a thing. But it's the kind of thing. This kind of thing has never been added to the list of fan show before. Typically, they're people. Le'Veon Bell was one of them, and then there's been a few names on the list of fan show, and then a few things like teams as a whole, or ESPN or whatever. But this is something completely different. This is like an almost epidemic. The newest thing to the list is something that has happened to a lot of players that I don't care how much I love or hate them. It just shouldn't happen at all. So ACL tears. Got my running back, Jerick McKinnon, and now my quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, but they aren't the only ones to fall victim to this horrendous sports injury. And so I'm very upset at this thing, whatever you want to call it. So you know what happens when you cut athletes' seasons short, or you stop them before they even have a chance to get started? Do you know what happens when you're a thing that it's not even a contact injury? You just happen. It's like wrong place, wrong time. You know what happens? ACL tear. when you just come out of nowhere like an RKO, except for at least RKO can get a pop and you get your own pop, but it's like the worst kind of pop out there. No one likes you, ACL tear. You know what happens when you're an injury, not even a result of contact, and no one likes you? You know what happens, huh?
You just made the list!
That's right, ACL tears is on the list of Fan Show. Third item for 2018. It's getting to be a good list so far. Next up, though, ButtFumble Award. And we have our results. Nominees are the 0-3 Raiders. That's right, 0-3. $100 million man John Gruden. The Vikings, who lost to the Bills. The Patriots, who lost to the Lions. And NFL officiating. Well, I don't think there's a way that I can really spoil this for you. So let's go ahead and reveal your Week 3 ButtFumble Award winner is... NFL officials. The fact that we might as well throw flags on the players, since you're throwing plenty at the players. Do we need to have consent and lay them down softly while we attempt to sack the quarterback? Is the term sack too much for you? I don't know, but something's got to give here. So NFL officials, because you refuse to let the boys play, you are the Week 3 ButtFumble Award winner. All right, folks. Well, I do want to let you know that, it's not just how you bet, but it's also where you bet that matters. And when it comes to betting, I can't think of a better place than my bookie. All right, when I started this podcast, people always ask me for my advice. I give terrible advice, but one piece of advice that I feel very confident in giving is to check out my bookie. All right, remember, your betting on is just as important as who you're betting with. So if you were betting on the Browns last week, that's important, but to make sure that you get paid for winning because the Browns won, you got to go through my bookie. Plain and simple. All right, trust me on this. I would only recommend a service to my listeners that's a good one to me. Obviously, Dynamite Enterprises, Indy's Barbershop, Undisputed Belts. My bookie is right up there. They have in-game live betting, over-unders, fantasy points scored, and most rewarding player perks in the business. And that's why I'm urging you to make your way to my bookie. You win, and they pay. My bookie is slammed with new bettors. Kevin Goatee, famous comedian, special guest of the Fan Show, he was on a couple of weeks, says he uses my bookie. So if you're willing to deposit after 7 p.m. Eastern Time, they'll give you an additional $25 free play on deposits over $100. And if you use promo code FAN, F-A-N, you can do that, as well as they will match your deposit dollar for dollar. So visit MyBookie online today. That's MyBookie. And don't forget to use the promo code FAN, F-A-N, when creating your account to claim up to $1,000 in free play. Again, $1,000. If you're willing to hold out until after 7 p.m., you can get an extra 25 free play using the promo code FAN and add 25 to the end of that. So, for example, FAN 25, that's how you get that additional 25 bonus. So you play, you win, you get paid. We will be right back with Mike Jeffries after this break. You're listening to The Fan Show, your home for all things football and nonsense. My special guest tonight, Farouk. Farouk, welcome.
He's no expert, but here's the thing. Football and nonsense is what he brings. Sports talk with a twist. It's The Fan Show.
Do you know him as Kevin from the League? It is none other than very funny Steve Ranazzisi.
99% of the population doesn't know who I am, but the 1% do. They yell and scream inappropriate things at me in public.
Kyle Ray. Kyle, welcome.
And I was like, wow, I think we just saw the whole Super Bowl, Phyllis. It's like that scene in The Simpsons, like, why rent the movie? I just saw the best part.
Funny man Brad Williams.
Yeah, I'm here. I flew in just for your podcast. I've heard about this podcast. I've heard it's fantastic.
It's Mac and Farva, but they are my special guests tonight. Steve Lemmy, Kevin Heffernan.
I was in Mexico for 10 weeks in a Speedo. Like, that was me going to work. I was putting on a Speedo.
Farva is the most fun to play, and it was a blast to do that again, to do Farva again.
So then the makeup artist had to put Vaseline on your body, right?
Yeah.
And then put the powdered sugar on top of that. Is your name really Richard Siemens?
Listen live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night on Spreaker.com or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and instead of Chaos Cores, I'm going to suggest a name change to Controversy Core, because that is what he brought after the shocker of a win, the 6-bot Last Chance Rumble. He was the winner over Duck, and it caused quite a stir online, but he goes on into the tournament. Biggest upset of the season, but it was short-lived. So here he is, the man with probably one of the most back-and-forth weeks ever, Mike Jeffries of Bombshell. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing pretty well. It's been, quite a week. We've gotten a lot of interesting messages from people from all sorts of directions.
Yeah, and I remember, so I was there for these episodes that we're seeing. I saw the Last Chance Rumble. I got an interview with you right after, and a lot of people saw that. You had a chance to kind of explain. Of course, it was, there was a chance to wind down and everything. I think the worst thing that happens is the cameras being on who they're on right after something happens, because Hal Rucker did not look like a happy individual when they announced who the winner was. But I imagine you guys have talked since then, and are you guys good now? You're on good terms?
Yeah, I think everything between us and Hal is totally fine. We've had some conversations since then. We also had a conversation not too long after that with myself, Hal, and then a couple of Battlebots officials just kind of going over what the decision was, why it was the way it was, and all that. So I think for the most part, that's all been kind of cleared behind the scenes. Obviously, it's really hard to get a lot of that across on television, and you don't always necessarily want to get all that across anyway.
Yeah, I agree. It's something that is, they kind of pick and choose what makes for the best TV. But, so many of you guys are great friends regardless. Like, you're one of the only sports I know that will actively help each other out to compete, because you guys know what it takes to put something like this together, not just the bot, but the competition. So I'm just glad that you guys can all shake hands and hug afterwards. Now, fans are going to believe whatever they want to believe, but to those that think that there's some conspiracy theory with BattleBots rigging fights, I mean, like, what do you say to that hasn't already been said already since that episode?
Probably the easiest way to put it is they don't pay us anywhere near enough for us to fake it.
That's
we
very,
put
very true.
Hundreds of hours into these machines and a lot of our own money, and we don't really get much of that back or any of it. And there's no reason for us to go out there and fake it when we're trying to actually win the thing and have some semblance of hope of actually making back some of what we put into the thing.
Yeah, I heard from a lot of people down there that, what you guys win is only like a portion of what it takes to actually go into the building of a bot itself. Now, of course, it being a competition, a tournament, and a championship, a lot of people feel that the just winning it is worth more than what you could really put any dollar amount on, and that's understandable. But, for you guys, it's like it takes the money to make it work, and you guys have a lot of really generous and great sponsors out there, so I'm glad that you guys are able to put bots together and then, of course, get out there in the battle box for BattleBots. But after the fight, the 6-bot rumble, and the Duck controversy, you guys, it's like there's no time to really do anything about it except for the week in between episodes. But then you guys go in, and your reward for winning is to face Tombstone. Now, for you guys, this was a bit more than just facing last year's champion. This is about you guys getting a rematch from that championship. And so here you go in. I'm at that fight. I'm box side, and I'm watching this whole thing transpire. I see the chain come off, and then the high center, and the mix of emotions and energy in that crowd and in that arena is indescribable for something that lasted a span of 2 minutes. I mean, what was it like for you, especially now that you're able to watch it from a fan's perspective on Discovery? Like, take us through that fight and realizing everything that was happening.
In a lot of ways, watching it on the show was really the first time I saw the fight, because when I'm driving, especially a match like that, there's so much kind of a tunnel vision thing going on that I don't really remember much in the way of the details of what happened. There was a shot where they cut to me telling Matt not to worry about the weapon, I don't remember talking to him during the fight.
Wow.
Because you're just so focused on what's going on that nothing else really registers. Like, I barely noticed the crowd reactions until after the fight was over. Because I'm trying to, drive the robot, trying to not make a single mistake, and really hoping the thing doesn't catch fire again, because we've been kind of prone to doing that this season.
Yeah, it's you guys have had so many issues, and Ray was talking about this too, that there was stuff going on in the pit and stuff that would work fine in the testing area that wouldn't in the battle box. And so you guys had so much stuff that you had to overcome and sort of plan for and backup plan for. I do not envy you as a bot builder at all, especially being one in the tournament. But there you are, face to face with the reigning champion Ray Billings. You guys get that win, shock the world, and then you move on to Lockjaw. And in the same episode, you go from the biggest upset to a short-lived celebration as Don Hudson does what Don Hudson does, and he defeats you guys. Now, for you, I forget how much time there was actually between those two fights, but to lose to a guy like Don Hudson, I mean, is it any kind of consolation prize that, at least you got beat by one of the best, or was it something where you kind of wanted to make it to the championship, especially after just beating Ray? You maybe felt like this was your year.
For us, by the time we even got to the Rumble, we were already figuring out what parts we were going to try to scavenge from the robot for next season, because we knew we weren't bringing it back. There was going to be something different next time around anyway. So just getting past Tombstone, that was a huge accomplishment there. And going into the Lockjaw fight, we knew we didn't have a design that was suited to fight him, so we were just going to try to do what we could to put on a decent show there. And, Don's a great driver, Lockjaw's a great bot, so the fact that we lost to him wasn't a huge shock there, especially since we already lost to him earlier in the tournament. And, if you got to lose to someone, losing to someone like Don, who's an absolute legend in the sport, is not a bad thing.
Now, from a veteran standpoint, you look around at the 16, and there's a couple of new faces in there. We got to see Monsoon in action. That was short-lived, though, because, how do you take on a red-hot Minotaur bot? But Monsoon really surprised a lot of people. Huge. They get their spot in the limelight this Friday. But to see some new bots in there, was there any point in time that you guys, because you have such a big team there, the Chaos Corps, that you guys had any sort of moments of mentoring some of these younger guys? Like, did you have a veterans kind of Q&A panel almost where the newcomers could come in and ask you guys advice, or was it just kind of pick and choose your team, your pit area, and go and maybe pick their brains about stuff?
There wasn't really any formal sort of thing, but actually with the Monsoon team in particular, I've been fairly in touch with a lot of the UK robot combat scene, which is what they came out of. And I was actually good friends with the entire team before we ever met in person, because we've been talking for months and months about robot stuff online, and we already basically knew each other. And it was really cool actually getting to finally hang out with these people I'd been talking to for well over a year at that point.
That's awesome. And for those guys to come here and feel welcome and have that kind of connection and relationship already, I'm sure definitely made things a lot easier, because it's, things are done differently all around the world, and competition is supposed to be kind of that universal thing that we can all sort of get in on and enjoy. But even the finer details can be a little different. When I talked to Tim from Monsoon, he said that He loves the competition no matter where it is. He likes the UK because it's home, but he said that the reception for them in Monsoon was great here on the States. So it's nice to know that that was in fact true and not just playing face, and that you guys were part of that. So now we have the next episode. We've got the other side of the bracket. We'll have those fights, and then the last one will be the finale, and we'll crown guaranteed a new champion this season, which is crazy. You'd think that maybe it wouldn't come after the first round, but at least there's a good mix, variety, parity, if you will. But with your guys' loss, you decided that it was time for an announcement I saw on Facebook last night from the team's page. So for those that don't know, what is the big announcement from you, Mr. Jeffries, and what does it mean for the future of the Chaos Corps?
So the big news is that I am actually stepping down from the lead of the team and from the driving role. So I've been dealing with a health issue since the end of May, and while recovery is going really well, I decided that given that stress and things like that can be a major contributor to what caused the condition, that it was time to step back and let some of the other people on the team take the lead. So we've got Matt and Dan, Matt Carroll, Dan Hammer, taking over kind of a co-captaincy role. And then Jason Brown on the team, who was actually driving for most of the Rumble, is taking over the driving role on the team.
And, it breaks my heart. I know that you and I talked about it before, but I just wanted to let you know here on the show and everything that I respect the hell out of you guys, all of you that do BattleBots. But you've always been sort of that guy for me, because you were one of the first interviews that I did with regards to BattleBots, and I ran into you when I first got down there for the tapings this season. So we've always had kind of that odd relationship of, I show up every now and then, but here we are, we're friends now, we're talking, and now you're going to step away, and for how long we don't know. Hopefully it's not forever. I'd hate to think of it like that, but obviously your health comes first, and I completely understand that, and I think you guys have a great team there. You're one of the biggest teams in all of BattleBots. I always make the joke, to my wife when we're watching BattleBots on Friday. They do the shot of the teams walking towards the cameras, and there's teams like Duck that are just the two of them, Hal and his daughter, or there's Tombstone that's just the three of them. But then you guys, there's like 9 of you that walk towards that camera, and it's just so funny to me because, you guys, having a team like that is probably just one big extended family for you. So you've probably undoubtedly got their support, and it's nice to know that they're going to carry the torch for you for the foreseeable future and whatever that may hold.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the size of the team's part of why it was a lot easier of a decision than it could have been for me to step back, because I know the team's in good hands.
Yeah, absolutely. And what was, like, I imagine you guys had some kind of discussion as far as what you were thinking, or was it just, you got the team together and you're like, hey, here's what's going on. Like, how did the team take it, and how did you tell them that this was going to be what was happening?
So we've actually known this was going to happen for about 2 months now. This is a decision that's been sitting around for a while, and we use a platform called Slack for a lot of planning, because the team's really Augusta, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, Nashville, Chattanooga, Tennessee. We're all really spread out, so we use this platform to kind of keep everyone in communication, keep everyone talking.
Mm-hmm.
So they've known what I was dealing with for a while, and it was a lot of internal deliberations before I finally decided, I could try forcing this and potentially make things worse in the long run, or I can make the call. And we'd already been planning to some degree to actually split the team, because it is a giant team. We were originally planning to branch the team and have Matt and Dan lead the Bombshell side, and I was going to be leading a different build. So it was essentially that different branch wasn't going to happen. But there'd already been a lot of work towards getting Matt and Dan ready to lead the team and things like that. So it was a lot easier than it could have been.
Yeah, I mean, this is not an easy decision for you. And then, of course, when there's several lives in the mix, friends, family, and extended family like that, what a team is. I could only imagine that this is something that was not easy for anyone, but obviously knowing that it is something that you need to attend to and that it's caused by stress. I mean, you're not the only person I know, on a personal level that's had this, and it's not something that you just kind of, bat an eye at. Like, this needs to be dealt with, and the recovery is not easy, but I know that you're a strong guy like the rest of them, so you'll get through it. And I've heard from you that recovery is already going well. I don't know the finer details of it, and if you'd like, by all means, take us through like what exactly happens, and the treatment, and then what your time frame is for getting back to normal, I guess.
Yeah, sure. And this is actually probably a good thing for some people to just generally be aware of too, because the more prevalent symptoms are also potentially symptoms of a much more dangerous condition. So what I was diagnosed with is called Bell's palsy.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially what's happening is there's a facial nerve in your head that controls a lot of your expression on each side of your face, and the communication gets completely shut down. So, getting ready for bed one night, something felt a little bit off. Woke up the next day and about half of my face vertically on the right side, like divided line, nothing's working right.
Wow.
Eye doesn't close right, lips aren't working right. I spent the better part of the day trying to figure out what in the world's going on here, consulting Dr. Google and all that sort of stuff to just get kind of an idea of what's up. And by the end of the day, I actually had family in town who, amusingly enough, also had EMT training, so he knew exactly what kind of test to perform. But once I said, hey, it feels like basically half of my face has been shot up with Novocaine, he was thinking, okay, we need to do, the medical checks to see if it's been a stroke, because that is the really serious condition it could have been.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, with the tests you do there, one of them was demonstrating that your grip strength left to right side is still the same. And that was fine, so that was huge relief. But it's also still a serious condition, so we went to the hospital, got checked out, got the diagnosis, and moved forward with treatment. In my case, the initial treatment was a steroid and then an antiviral. One of the issues with Bell's palsy is they're not entirely sure what causes it. There are a lot of things that could contribute, but there's not a set oh yeah, take this test, that'll tell us what did it. So it could be stress, could be a viral infection, could be any number of things. The initial treatment is basically, here's everything we know definitely does something to help usually. Take it, keep talking to us, let us know how things are progressing. We'll follow up in a couple of weeks. So I went through, did that. Progress was decent. Started getting to the point where, after 2 weeks, I didn't need to drink with a straw. That was cool. Yeah, drinking beer through a straw sucks.
I'm glad it doesn't affect your sense of humor or your personality, but yeah, the people that I know that have been affected by Bell's palsy, they said that it is odd when it happens, because you're right, they don't know what causes it, and it's a moment of panic because you're right, stuff isn't working right, and it has all the familiar symptoms of a stroke, which is probably one of the most serious things, right up there with a heart attack and an aneurysm. So props to you for not panicking, for getting in, for getting tested and the diagnosis. And I'm glad that you're back on the speedy road to recovery. But, we're going to miss you in the Battlebots. I know that for sure. And I hope that this is not the end for Mr. Michael Jeffries and the Chaos Corps and Bombshell. But, hey, man, this is about you. Do what you need to do to get right and get better. And when you're ready to come back, I'm sure that you will. But, on behalf of myself, and I'm sure a lot of bot fans, even if they're diehard Duck fans, know that the bot world will not be the same without Mike Jeffries at the helm of Bombshell.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, man, I cannot thank you enough for coming on and for, having the floor for a little bit to talk about everything that's been going on and go over the ups and downs of this season. But hey, man, it was a great season. I'm so glad I got to hang out with you. You got to tell me how I can get a hold of one of your guys' shirts with the F.A.N show on it for my own personal collection, maybe, Casual Friday, because your guys' uniforms are awesome. So if you can help me out with how to get one of those, unless it's a team exclusive thing, I completely understand. But those are awesome, and I've always wanted one.
I think we can probably at least figure out something. We actually basically just bought shirts off the rack and then went to a local shop and had them made for us. But what I might be able to do is send you the vector art for the logo, and you can kind of modify it as needed.
Hey, sounds good to me, man. Well, hey, speedy recovery, and keep me posted. Keep in touch, obviously, but hopefully, if you decide to at least come and visit the next season, if there is one, which sounds like there should be, but no need to jinx it just yet. So if there's a season 4, come by, visit, we'll hang out, we'll catch up. But otherwise, wishing you all the best, man. You take care and enjoy the rest of your night. All right?
Thanks. You too.
All right. That was Michael Jeffries of Bombshell, the captain of Chaos Corps. He is stepping down for the foreseeable future, an indefinite amount of time, but he's one of the cooler guys that I've met in BattleBots. I got to say that right now, because he's very down to earth. He's always open to talking. In fact, I've been pestering him about being on the show for a while. He's like, I'm holding out for a special moment. I'm like, oh, he's talking about the big upset. But it turns out he had an announcement to make, and we wanted to get him on so that he could sort of elaborate or add anything onto that. But, you know, the bot world will miss him. But let me just say this to all of you out there in Fan Nation, BattleBots fans, everybody, that, you know, your health is more precious than anything. So if you need to take some time to evaluate yourself, your health, get right, whatever you got to do it. Anybody that frowns upon that doesn't understand what it's like to live with something that maybe could have been treated, could have been avoided, but you ignored the signs and you decided to tough it out, and that other things were more important, and the truth is that they weren't. So props to Mike for making sure that he is his best before he is, you know, a competitor, and that's totally fine. We will miss him. So this Friday, of course, we have the other side of the bracket. I still don't know what to call the two of them. Last week we had the start of the left side of the bracket, and this Friday we have the start of the right side of the bracket. Tonight they will replay, they will re-air on the Science Channel last Friday's episode. So if you missed the first round of the tournament, sorry, not sorry about the spoilers. Like, you guys need to probably keep up if you're going to be BattleBots fans. You've had, Friday night. So, okay, we won't count Friday because it airs at 8 o'clock. 5 o'clock if you're on the West Coast and you happen to get the first airing of it, you know, on Discovery. So, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You got 5 days to watch it somehow. It's pretty sure that episodes in their entirety are up on YouTube like the next day. So unless you live in some area that doesn't have internet, there's no reason why you shouldn't have been able to catch up on BattleBots. Take 40 minutes out of your day and watch, you know, on demand and get caught up. It's that easy. You don't have to wait for the replay on the Science Channel. That's just lazy. So anyway, sorry about the spoilers. But yes, watch tonight's episode. Even if you have already seen it, watch it again. It's a lot of fun. It's a great episode. It really is. And you will see the biggest upset of the season, and then you will see us narrow the field down. There are technically right now 10 teams remaining. Minotaur and Lockjaw from the left side, and they will face off for a spot in the championship. Is it Minotaur's year, or is Don Hudson going to add another giant nut to his already giant nut collection? I was trying to figure out how to say giant nut collection. There we go. Or will it be someone from the right side? We have a lot of up-and-comers over there, but there is also the veterans like Ice Wave, Yeti. But will Huge have something to say? Will they make a huge statement? Will Whiplash be the future? Bronco, are they going to buck you up? I don't know. You'll have to find out when the right side of the tournament takes place, and we will narrow what is 10 down to 4. Final 4, you will see it all happen this Friday, and then finally those 4 to 2 and to 1, and that 1 will be your 2018 Season 3 BattleBots World Champion. So you won't want to miss it this Friday. Tomorrow night, we have Thursday Night Football moving over to Fox, and we also have another special guest tomorrow night for week 3 of Fan versus Fan show. One of the first big-name guests the show ever had is returning tomorrow night for like his 10th time. He's pretty much semi-regular right now. Good friend of the show, though, Mark Istook of NFL Network, so he will be joining me. We're going to do Fan versus Fan Show Pick'em. Can I finally get into the win column? I'm 0-2. But I'm 1-2 in fantasy. If I get a win in both leagues, I'm 2-2. I'm back to 500. But if I lose, I'm 1-3. That's a really tough spot to be in fantasy, because your fantasy league season is about 3 or 4 weeks shorter than the NFL regular season. So we're coming up on week 4, which is officially a quarter of the way through the NFL regular season, and you think that's a tough spot to be in. Well, let me tell you about being a quarter of the way through the regular season in fantasy. Ooh, doggy. Don't forget, Indy's Barbershop, 711 North Monroe Street, if you're in the Pacific Northwest area. Spokane area, I'm telling you, if you can drive 2 hours to a barbershop, do it. Okay, Indy's Barbershop, 15% off, quality haircut or a hot towel shave, or both, if you say that I heard about you on the Fan Show. Undisputed Belts released custom belt version 2.0. It reminds me a lot of the Intercontinental Championship. Now, I love my belt that I have from them, my custom belt, and I will not be ordering one of these, but I can tell you that for those that have yet to order a custom belt from Undisputed Belts, this looks pretty damn good. It's kind of like hexagon. Is that the one with 6 sides? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's got 6 sides, and it is more square-like. But yeah, it looks like the Intercontinental title if it was just lines, straight lines from one corner to the next instead of this sort of steps looking thing. Hey, Google it. Go to undisputedbelts.com. Say, hey, heard about you on the Fan Show. They're going to cut you a deal there. And Dynamite Enterprises, MyBookie. We got a lot of friendly and awesome partners and proud sponsors of the Fan Show. Take advantage of it, folks. That's why I'm here. It's why I'm telling you about it, because if I can save you some money, if I can continue to build a great working relationship with these companies, why not? Like, what do I have to lose? Nothing. I have everything to gain, and so do you. If you go to dynamiteenterprises.com, get some custom merch, apparel, even if you need sample sizes of something, shirts, hats, hoodies, bandanas, whatever you need, Ethan can get it done for you at a reasonable price, and he'll take even more off that reasonable price if you say that you heard about him on the Fan Show. Get a quality haircut and a hot towel shave from Indy's Barbershop if you're in the Spokane area. I mean, why not? Everybody needs to get their haircut and shave once in a while, right? Once a month, once every 3 months. I don't know. Unless you're a hippie and you just grow it out and grow it out and grow it out. Hit up Indy's. It's a great experience. You're going to love the environment. You're going to love the interaction you get with Jason or Earl. Or Dylan, I mean. Earl. His last name is Earl. Herb. Anyway, Jason or Dylan, they're going to do great work for you. Undisputed Belts for all of your belt-making needs. If it's sibling rivalry, office competition, or fantasy football, or fantasy any sport, they've got you covered. And then, of course, MyBookie. You bet, you win, you get paid. MyBookie.com. Use promo code F.A.N. Get an additional $25 on top of your initial deposit if you use F.A.N.25. And if you missed any of tonight's episode, if you want to get caught up, there's only 3 a week, folks. It's not that hard to get caught up. It's not that hard to enjoy all of the Fan Show content that we have 3 nights a week. You can do that by subscribing iTunes, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. You can listen live if you're free from 7 to 8 or 4 to 5 Pacific time. Depending on which time zone you're in, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night, go ahead and tune in either through Spreaker.com or thefanshow.com. Click Listen Live, and then make sure that you're in the know. If you don't know what's happening or the next upcoming guest, or if you're curious about what's going on with the Fan Show, where I'll be next, then you need to follow along, and that can be done on Snapchat. Not the best form. I'm getting a little better about it. But the big ones that you want to make sure that you're associated with, I believe everybody has one of the 3, if not all 3. Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, okay? So the Fan Show for Instagram and Snapchat, TheFanshow. If it's Twitter or Facebook, it is at Fan Show Official. So go and like, listen, love, share, laugh, and enjoy football and nonsense 3 nights a week. So we'll be back tomorrow night with the Week 4 preview episode, as well as to wrap up another great week here in Fan Nation. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners, and remember, of course, it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night, folks.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his own player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the Fan Show.